Hey everyone, there is news, not Christmas news yet, but there's news from Iceland that's very interesting. So we will talk about Svartsengi first, about the new lava field, about the time frame when the scientists expect the next eruption. But Iceland remains interesting now that the eruption has ended still, because there's so much rumbling all over Iceland. We will look a little bit into this, but let's start with the Icelandic Meteorological Office. One of their scientists, geophysicist Benedict of Feixon, he says that given the rate of the land rise that we're seeing right now underneath Svartsengi, that's where the geothermal power plant is located, and the Blue Lagoon, the magma chambers underneath, it's refilling since the eruption has ended. So it's refilling, and while it is expanding, filling up with magma, the land, of course, is rising again because something underneath is blowing up. Like you're blowing up a balloon underneath some soil. The soil lifts up, and that's what is happening. So that's why the scientists of the Met Office believe we could see the next eruption in February. So end of January to February. So no New Year's eruption, but they thought that the last eruption would be a Christmas eruption, and then it started in November. So we don't know. And guys, I can't believe how time flies. The first eruption started December 18th. So 1 year of eruptions. The 7th eruption just ended. And don't forget, we had 7 eruptions and 2 magma intrusions. So it started with this massive magma intrusion on November 10th that has formed this underground magma dike, 15 kilometers long, going through the Sutnuka crater series and underneath Grindavik into the sea. And luckily, since then, we only have seen this dike filled with new magma and erupt in the Sutnuka crater series, Sillingerfell, Hagafell, in these areas, and with just a one tiny bit of a fissure opening inside of Grindavik last January. But it could have been worse for Grindavik had these eruption series been further south. But it's bad enough for Svartsengi, right? I told you in my last videos, they're increasing the height of the defense walls almost to 100 feet. That creates a low spot for Svartsengi where the magma chambers underneath, right? So if this wall is breached, it flows down there. It can fill this up. This is like a dam. And if a dam breaches, that lake fills up, right? So they say they can only defend it for so long. 1 or 2 more eruptions in a bad spot, it might be critical. Also for Grindavik, if the eruption's more south or the lava's flowing more south. And that's why we will also look at what the current eruption did in terms of lava flow, because that's really giving us a picture that tells the story of how threatened Svartsengi, and especially this time, the Blue Lagoon was. And, since it's 1 year, so since we've seen the first eruption last December 2023, we've had 114 days of eruption. So all these eruptions together, 114 days. So wow, guys, that is a long time that the Reykjanes Peninsula within a 1 year time frame has been bothered by this volcano, and there's no end in sight. Scientists say this can last for decades, even centuries. And that's why the speed of the land rise that we're seeing right now suggests it could be early February. But what Benedict of Feixon is saying, he says, based on the pace that we seeing right now, we can assess that it might reach a similar volume in the magma chamber that could trigger an eruption at the turn from January to February. And he says this is a slightly more conservative estimate than last time. Okay, conservative estimate. Does that mean it's also possible that we could see it earlier? Who knows? Definitely not right now. That is what we can say. We need more magma in the magma chamber. But since the last one started earlier as expected, they're careful with their predictions because you can somewhat predict it, thankfully, since we've had so many events, and they can kind of measure how much magma is in there, and they know when an eruption was triggered. So they can give us an estimate. There's 23 million cubic meters in the magma chamber. That was as much as was needed for the last eruption to trigger. It was a little bit of a trend that it needed more and more in the magma chamber from eruption to eruption, but the last eruption told us otherwise. It was basically the same amount like the one before. So, but 23 million cubic meters, if that is reached, we can be quite sure that something's going to happen, right? Then it's a time frame of a few days or 1 week, 2 weeks, some weeks, but something is coming. And that's a good thing, because then people at least can prepare, and they are preparing right now. They're working on the Svartsengi defense walls to make them higher, and we will look at the precise location. But one thing that Benedict of Feixen is sure, he says everything points towards the direction that we will see another eruption. But let's have a look at that map here, because that is interesting. Everything that you see in yellow, orange tones, that is the lava carpet that the last eruption has created. And what is very, very interesting for this eruption is if you go to the west, you see that red line, that's the defense wall around Svartsengi. And there you can see how close it came to the Blue Lagoon. It has flowed over the parking lot of the Blue Lagoon that was outside these defense walls, destroyed a maintenance building for the bus drivers, and the lava is now parking in front of the Blue Lagoon. That's one of my viewers who said that, and I think this is a great, great phrase, because it's just waiting to get in. And we have to make a shout out to the planners of these defense walls and to the guys who built them, because if you look at this picture, not only the yellow stuff, also the purple stuff, these are all the lava flows. And we know without the defense walls, Grindavik would be destroyed, Svartsengi would be destroyed, and the Blue Lagoon would be done. After the last eruption, definitely the Blue Lagoon would be done, because everything, that big white chunk that's very, very western, that would have flowed right into the Blue Lagoon without the defense wall. But that's why the northern defense walls, that is the critical part. They call them L1 and L2. That is where the action is happening. That is where in one of the previous eruptions, the eastern part of this northern defense wall has been breached. You see that purple thing there where the lava was breaching the defense wall and flying towards the power plant infrastructure. The good thing was it was far enough away from the power plant building so that they could work on this. They started lava cooling. They started building a second row of defense walls to prevent this from happening. But where it is, where the Blue Lagoon is, you see where the orange, the yellow is, and then you see these blue lakes. Had it flown in there, had it breached the wall there, no chance to prevent this. So the Blue Lagoon is highly at risk should the defense wall at the Blue Lagoon not hold. I think more at risk than the Svartsengi plant, because there they still have a slight chance to intervene. So it doesn't look too good, right? And the darker the color, the more orange, the higher the lava carpet already. So, and that's the problem. These carpets are building up on top of each other, reaching the heights of the defense walls, and then flow over like this, like a dam breach, and then really with speed up in the low spot. So that's why they have to build it higher and higher and higher. And I mean, 100 feet, that's like a 9-10 story building. I can imagine it's very pretty if you're inside the Blue Lagoon and you know there's this huge wall around you. It's not, I mean, you probably don't see it that much. I mean, there's lava carpets all around the Blue Lagoon. It's basically built inside an old lava flow. There's lava rocks on the edges of the hotels. You see it everywhere. It's built right in. But these huge black walls, they're not really pretty. And I think now even the last tourist that is not informed about this should wonder why these walls are there. And they cannot be explained with, like on the Blue Lagoon website, seismically active area, right? You don't build walls against earthquakes, don't you, right? So they should ask, what is this for? And you see the lava carpets behind the defense walls. It's obvious, right? So, but let's talk about this orange, yellow lava carpet and about the heights, how high it is already. So we have an imaging team that went out there and really tried to make calculations. So the Natural History Institute and the Icelandic Natural Land Survey, they flew over the eruption sites on December 13th after the eruption ended, and they took measuring data from that flight, and they show that that lava carpet that has formed by the last eruption that started on November 20th and ended on November 9th, that eruption was spitting out 49.3 million cubic meters of lava. So it makes it the second largest eruption in this eruption series that started a year ago. The biggest one is roughly, I think, 65 million cubic meters. But what's interesting also, it's like 9 square kilometers of lava. This is all the yellow-orange stuff that you see there. This is the area that it has covered. And of course, most of it happened in day one. And that's when everything was destroyed around the Blue Lagoon outside the defense walls. So it was flowing very, very fast in the first few hours. Of course, where is this lava carpet the highest, the thickest? Around the craters. And the northernmost crater was erupting the longest. So there it is the thickest, right? It has accumulated the most there. But also, where does it accumulate as well? Well, around the dikes, because it's flowing against the dikes. The dikes are blocking it, so it's building up on top. That's why you see around that northwestern dike around the Blue Lagoon, where it gets larger, it also gets darker. So it was building up higher on the Blue Lagoon part of the defense wall, and that is not good. That's why Icelandic MET Office, very detailed, says the thickest part of the lava flow was measured at the crater and the defense walls at the Blue Lagoon, right? Svartsengi wasn't that much of a problem. I think the old lava flow, that light gray purplish area that had threatened and breached the defense wall at Svartsengi, maybe was a natural barrier that was leading it further towards the Blue Lagoon. Now we have to see what's happening with the next lava flow. Will that prevent the lava from flowing into that direction? Will it flow further north, further east? But there could be barriers as well. So is it now flowing south? It's tricky. It's really, really tricky. And it really depends where the eruption is. Is it further north, further south? So the average thickness of that lava carpet is 5.5 meters. But again, it is higher at the Blue Lagoon and the crater. There, it can go up to 12 meters, 16 meters, and at the craters, 22 meters or even higher. And you see that chart on the left. So there you see, if it's red, it's higher than 24 meters. We have only a tiny, tiny red spot where the crater is, and then it gets into the reddish to the east, because towards the end of the eruption, it was flowing more to the northeast, eastern part for a few days. But what we definitely see, we see some orange areas around the Blue Lagoon. That could be anything between 8 and 12 meters up to 16 meters, something like this. And that is very high. That is basically almost the height that the defense walls had when this eruption started. And then they were, during the eruption, working on it, making it higher, building it. And that's why, let's say the status quo is 12 to 16 meters there right now. Basically, they have to build new defense walls. It sounds tall if you say up to 100 feet high. Yes, if you're inside at the Blue Lagoon, which is the low spot, you're looking at that massive wall and you see the height of like up to 100 feet. But if you're standing on the lava carpet, which you should not because it's still hot, so no tourists there, do not step on that. It's unstable, very, very dangerous. But let's say you're standing on the lava carpet, it's almost like standing on the defense wall, right? Same height. So from there, you're looking down on the Blue Lagoon and Svartsengi. So they're starting from ground zero, so to speak, from level 0. So they have to build, if their point of reference is the height of the lava carpet, they have to build a new defense wall. So if they say it's up to 27 meters, that's basically, they're building a new wall up to 12 meters high or 16 meters high, right? And and then how often can you do this? Of course, they're using the existing lava carpet to build on that, right? But the problem with this is that Svartsengi is the low spot. It will remain that low. Yeah, you could say, let's build further out. Let's build defense walls further out. But then you have to see, the lava has to go somewhere. And if you block it completely, you risk that it flows south. But north is also bad because there's Reykjanesbrut. That's the major highway that connects basically the Reykjanes Peninsula, the Keflavik airport with Reykjavik, the most important city, the capital of Iceland, right? And most of the people live Reykjavik, Reykjanes Peninsula, most of the people that live in Iceland, right? So, and the problem is they've looked into this. Well, where can we put Reykjanesbrut? But Reykjanesbrut is bordered on the one side by these potential lava flows and on the other hand by the sea. So how do you want to do this? It's critical. So north is also not good. South is Grindavik. To the west, Svartsengi, Blue Lagoon, not good. To the east, yeah, that's the only chance that they have, right? But it really depends on the terrain. And I'm very interested if they are working on future lava flow models. And this is another interesting graph that really shows us again what has been happening in the last 12 months. So we have the blue bars and we have the orange bars. So this graph shows the comparison of the length of the eruptions. These are the blue bars, and then the volume of the eruptions. That are the orange bars. And interesting is, if you look at, eruption number 6, it had a huge volume, but didn't last that long, right? So you can't really say if it lasts very long, it will also spit out the most amount. So, and that's the bad part. If it doesn't last very long, but it spits out a lot of fast flowing lava in a short period of time, it can travel fast, right? In a very short period of time. And eruption number 4, for example, did last very, very long, but didn't spit out that much lava if you compare it, right? So overall, they're showing an interesting picture here of a lava waterfall that has happened during the first eruption on December 18th. So this crater is sort of building up and then one wall breaks down and then the lava starts flowing very, very fast. And we had that also in other eruptions where a lava lake had formed around Silingerfell and then one of these walls broke and then it was sending it very, very fast towards Svartsengi and it was leading to that defense wall breach. So that makes the situation more dangerous. But let's imagine this is not the crater wall that collapses. This is a breach of the defense wall. And then that lava waterfall flows into that low spot. This is the danger, in my opinion. This is super, super dangerous. So 140 days of eruptions in Iceland in the last year, producing about 216 million cubic meters of lava flows, guys, building up the Reykjanes Peninsula in height towards the sea level. Also, the Icelandic Meteorological Office says that the data that they're getting from their GPS meters show that the land rise underneath Svartsengi is steady. It is steady. And they say this indicates that the magma accumulation underneath Svartsengi is, of course, continuing. And they say while this magma accumulation continues like that, new magma flow, meaning intrusion or eruption, in the Sutnuka crater series can be expected. They also say, but they're not giving specific dates, they say it can be assumed that the magma accumulation will need to continue at this rate, if it stays at this rate, for at least several weeks before the likelihood of a new magma flow begins to increase. But they're saying if there is a change in the rate of this magma accumulation, in the fill rate of this magma chamber, of course, this assessment will change again. So they have to collect data every week, every day. And there is the risk map that they released. It's going to be valid till January 2nd. Of course, in all the yellow zones, there is not a high risk right now. And of course, where we have seen all the craters of the last eruptions, that is still orange. The risk is considered considerable. It was previously red, of course, high. But now the eruption has ended and they know it'll take a little bit of a time until we see the next one. And also, Blue Lagoon must be happy that they're open during the holidays. I think that's creating a good income for them. In the last 12 months, the Blue Lagoon, despite them remaining open until the last moment and opening again as early as possible, they have been closed for a total number of 4 months out of 12. That is a considerable loss for Iceland's biggest moneymaker, right? So yeah, guys, this was the update about the Reykjanes Peninsula. Let's have a quick look at the earthquake situation all over the country. So while we're talking, there was a 1.3 magnitude at Bardarbunga. That's one of the volcanoes in the Vatnajökull system. That's this huge white area that you see there. That has been rumbling in various areas. And another 2.5 at Bardarbunga almost while we're speaking. So that is continuing, right? So if we look at today's chart, you see there's still stuff going on the Reykjanes Peninsula. We had stuff in the Krýsuvík volcanic system, but we also had stuff happening on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. There we had one that is almost magnitude 3. So this is something that we need to keep an eye on. Grímsvatn, all these volcanic systems underneath the Vatnajökull system. There's land rises happening at various volcanoes. So this is just what you see there. This is what's happening right now. And I will make detailed update videos about each volcanic system. It would blow up this video too much. We're already at almost half an hour, guys. I want to let you go. You probably have to buy some late Christmas presents or do whatever. I hope you're all having a great time. I hope you're all safe. And my heart goes out to you. Merry Christmas if I don't see you before Christmas. But I hope I will, guys. I'm still here in the US. And yeah, I'll release an update about Apollo pretty soon. So thanks so much for supporting Apollo. And if you want to continue to do that, or if you're new here and want to help Apollo in his fight against cancer, I'm very grateful for that. The link is in the description of this video. And yeah, more videos to come. And check out my video about I don't want to say UFOs because I don't think they're extraterrestrial, but these drone sightings, these orb sightings, especially in the US, something's going on there. I've really done extensive research into this, and I will tell you all the theories in this video, what the theories are from everyone, from conspiracy theory to other theories, which ones could be true, which ones are likely, and what are the facts, what are the officials saying. I've compiled this all in one video, so hey, click on this end screen, help me push this video out a little bit so that it was worth the time that I put into this video. So thanks so much, guys, for that, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.